All silent, folks. Sold to you soon. Congratulations. Welcome to the Gold Coast.
A little bit nervous, but also excited.
We would really like the Hilton property and, we didn't want to lose it.
That is the sound of Australia in 2025. It is not the sound of a healthy market. It is not the sound of rational decisions. It is the sound of a stampede, a herd of terrified people running towards a cliff, convinced that jumping is safer than being left behind. It is the sound of a nation gripped by a collective government-engineered madness. It is the sound of FOMO, fear of missing out. A fear so powerful, so primal, it is forcing an entire generation to make the worst financial decisions of their lives. A fear that is pushing house prices to their most expensive, most disconnected from reality level in history, even as the cost of living crushes families into dust. And the most sickening part? This isn't an accident. This isn't a bug in the system. This is the system working perfectly. This is a trap, a diabolical pincer movement, meticulously designed by a government that has poured petrol on a bonfire and is now watching with a smile as young Australians, blinded by panic, leap into the flames. They have made renting a living hell, and now they're offering a ladder into a burning building, telling you it's your only way out. Today, we are not just talking about house prices. We are talking about a psychological crisis. We are dissecting the anatomy of FOMO, showing you exactly how the government, the banks, and the media have conspired to create this panic. We will show you the data that proves this is the most dangerous, irrational, and unaffordable housing market in Australian history. And we will expose the diabolical trap that awaits those who fall for it. This is not a housing boom. This is a national delusion, and it is about to get much, much worse. They want you to panic. They want you to believe that if you don't buy now, you will be locked out forever. That is the lie that fuels their system. We are here to tell you the truth, and the truth is that a market built on panic is a house of cards, and the wind is starting to blow. By joining our Patreon, you are supporting a voice of reason in a sea of madness. You are helping us arm Australians with the facts they need to see through the hype and protect themselves from the financial ruin that is coming. The link is in the description. This wave of FOMO didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was manufactured. It is the result of a perfect storm of reckless government policy and market manipulation, all coming together in the final months of 2025 to create a buying frenzy. There are 4 key ingredients to this poison cocktail. First, you have the Reserve Bank cutting interest rates by 0.75%. While that might sound like relief, all it did was signal to the market that the era of fiscal discipline was over. It was the starting gun for the race to the bottom, a clear message that the government would do anything to keep the bubble inflated, no matter the long-term cost. Second, and this is the real accelerant, is the Albanese government's unlimited 5% deposit scheme, which kicked in on October 1st.
Today I announce that under a Labor government, you'll be able to buy your first home with just a 5% deposit.
This is, without exaggeration, one of the most irresponsible and destructive housing policies in Australian history. It allows virtually any first home buyer to get into the market with a tiny deposit, with the taxpayer on the hook for 15% of the mortgage. It is a policy that screams, "We don't care about risk. We don't care about your debt. We just want you to buy." The result? A tidal wave of buyers who were previously priced out suddenly flooding the market. Mortgage brokers reported record-strong demand. 1 in 10 homes sold in October used this scheme. It didn't create a single new house. It just created thousands of new, desperate buyers, all fighting over the same small pool of properties. Third, the investors are back. Seeing the government-fueled panic, property investors have piled back into the market, smelling blood. The Reserve Bank's own data shows investor credit is growing at the fastest pace in a decade. Google searches for investment property have hit a record high. These aren't mum and dad investors. These are professionals, syndicates and foreign buyers who see the FOMO, see the government underwriting the risk and are jumping in to front run the panic. So now, first home buyers are not just competing against each other. They are competing against cashed up investors who see this as a golden opportunity to profit from the misery of others. And fourth, the supply crisis. While the government is juicing demand to insane levels, the supply of new homes is collapsing. The government is 62,000 homes behind its own pathetic building target. The number of homes listed for sale is down 16% in the past year. It is the most basic economic equation on earth. When you dramatically increase demand while simultaneously strangling supply, prices will explode. This isn't a side effect. This is the intended outcome. They have created a Hunger Games for housing. Let's look at the damage. In October 2025, national home prices rose by 1.1%, the fastest monthly gain in over 2 years. The median dwelling value in this country is now a soul-crushing $872,538. Since the COVID lockdowns in 2020, home values have surged by almost 50%. An extra $280,000 has been magically added to the price of a home, while your wages have gone nowhere, eaten alive by inflation. This has pushed housing affordability to the worst levels ever recorded. 3 out of 4 key affordability metrics are now at all-time highs. The price-to-income ratio is a disaster. The median house is now worth 8.9 times the average income, up from 6.6 times just 5 years ago. To service a new mortgage on that median-priced home, you now need to dedicate 45% of your pre-tax income. That is almost half your salary gone, just to keep a roof over your head before you've even paid for food, electricity, or petrol. And how long does it take to even get to the starting line? To save a standard 20% deposit for a house in Sydney, you would need to save for 16.7 years. Let that sink in. You would have to start saving when you are in primary school to have a deposit by the time you are 30. In Adelaide, it's 13 years. In Brisbane, it's 12.9 years. In Melbourne, it's over 11 years. It is a joke. A cruel, sick joke. As property analyst Eliza Owen said, we are now at the ugly part of the debate where we're talking about people passing away to get access to the market. Young Australians are literally waiting for their parents to die so they can have a home. That is the legacy of this government, a generation of vultures forced to wait for tragedy to have a chance at the Australian dream. And if you think you can escape this madness by renting, you are wrong. The rental market is a prison, and the walls are closing in. The national rental vacancy rate has collapsed to a record low of just 1.5%. The number of homes listed for rent is down 30% from pre-pandemic levels. And what happens when you have record immigration, pouring hundreds of thousands of new people into the country, all chasing a record low number of rental properties? Rents explode. Over the past 5 years, rents have increased by a staggering 44%. The median tenant is now paying $10,500 more per year than they were before the pandemic. A record 33.4% of a renter's income is now being consumed by rent. This is the trap. The government makes renting so unbearable, so expensive, so soul-destroying that you become desperate. You see the prices of houses rocketing up and you start to panic. You think, I have to get out of this rental hell. I have to buy no matter the cost. You're exhausted from inspections, from rent rises, from the insecurity. And right on cue, the government is there with its 5% deposit scheme. The friendly-faced predator, ready to help you sign your life away on a mega mortgage with almost no equity at the very peak of the most inflated housing bubble in Australian history. This is how FOMO works. It is a pincer movement. They crush you in the rental market and they lure you into the property market with the promise of easy money. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and either way, you lose. You're either a rent slave for life or you are a debt slave for life. Those are the only options they have left for you. It is a calculated strategy to ensure that your wealth, your labour, and your future are transferred to the banks and the property-owning class. And the future? It's even worse. SQM Research is forecasting prices to rise another 6 to 10% in 2026. The government's own advisory council admits the housing shortage is going to get worse by another 79,000 homes. This is not the peak. This is just the beginning of the final, most dangerous phase of the bubble. This isn't a market correction, it's a market breaking. The fundamentals are screaming danger, but the government is blasting the music of FOMO so loud that no one can hear the alarms. This is a moment of maximum risk. Buying into this market now is not a sign of financial wisdom, it's a sign of desperation. It's catching a falling knife. The government has created a generation of bag holders. People who will be left holding worthless, debt-laden assets when this bubble inevitably bursts. And it will burst. Every bubble in history has. The only question is when and how many lives will be ruined in the process. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you are helping us warn as many people as possible about this trap. You are helping us break the cycle of FOMO and give people the information they need to make rational decisions, not panicked ones. The link is in the description. To see the latest Australian crisis, click this video here.